Okay, boys and girls, we are going to look at Georges Seurat. And if you look at this painting, or just a section of his painting, this is all made up of tiny, tiny little dots. And we call this technique Pointillism. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an artwork, a marine with fish and starfish art project. But we're going to use little tiny dots as well, just like Seurat. First, you're going to get a sheet of blue paper as your background. And then I'm going to give you, each one of you, 2 circular tissue paper discs. And it doesn't matter which colour they are, but you're going to get 2 each. So here I've got a green and a yellow. Okay, just take the yellow one there first. And there's my green. Now I'm going to decide where I want to place them, because this is what we're going to use as great big bubbles. So when I think about where I want to place them, I'm going to put them there and there. So instead of tissue paper, gluing the tissue paper, I'm going to glue the background paper because it's harder, tougher to take the glue stick. And then just set my first disc on. And I'd like them to be overlapping ever so slightly, okay? So if you can do the same. And just overlap. There we go. Now we've got 2 discs. Now you can see the purple glue through that, but it's going to dry clear. So you give that a few minutes. Now the next stage is I'm going to give you all a plate of white paint, and with the white paint I want you just to, with a brush, just spread it across the plate so it's nice and evenly spread out. Then I'm going to give you a toilet roll tube, and you can see there I've already been using it, and we're going to create additional bubbles. So we're going to dip the end of the tube and we're going to overlap, and we're creating a print using great big circles. So it's a larger version of Georges Seurat, and I'm going to continue that until I basically fill up the whole page. And when you fill up the whole page, you should end up with something along these lines, okay? So don't go crazy. So you've got all these nice bubbles underwater. Now the next thing is I'm going to give you a choice. So we're going to set this to the side, we'll set that to the side to dry, but we're going to come back to that in a bit. Of a fish, starfish, octopuses, there's all sorts of fish that you can choose from. So you're going to take one of these, and these are pre-drawn, and I'm going to give you a Q-tip, okay? Each one of you. Now if you take a Q-tip, it's got 2 soft ends, and we can use either end of these. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give each table a plate with colours in it. Alright, you can see here. So I'm going to dip the Q-tip into the blue. And I'm going to fill my fish with soft dots. Now if you look at how I'm doing it, I'm not putting the dots on top of each other, I'm putting a gap so that they're side by side. A little bit like mosaic art. Remember with the tiles, they don't overlap, but side by side. Now anything that we've got here, like the fins, I'm not going to put any dots on. I'm going to leave those so I've still got that detail of the fish. You can put a little dot in the eye if you wish. And you're going to fill that up with dots. Now I'm using this nice aqua blue. And when you fill it up, you should, boys and girls, end up with something like this. Now I've already started to add a secondary colour to it, but you can see there how he looks when he's filled up with dots. Now remember, they're side by side, they're fairly close, and we're starting to get the technique of Georges Seurat. So if I go back to my background and set my background there, and I've got my fish, okay, and if I want to set my fish there, now you can see I've already started to use an orange, and I'm then going to give you a little straw. So you're getting a different pointillism technique. You get a smaller dot, and what I'm doing is I'm actually putting dots basically where I missed on the blue, and here it can go over. Now at this stage I'm going over, the blue is basically dried for me. So I'm going to continue that until I've got orange dots all over my fish as well, so completely covered from its nose to its tail. Again, I'm not going to be doing its fins because I want to leave those as details. Now you can also add a starfish. Now I haven't glued him down yet, but I want you to see the starfish. And if I wanted to put my fish there. So now we've got some overlapping. When you overlap, you're actually creating depth. Okay? Then, again, same thing. I'm taking another colour and a straw, and I've done red with the Q-tip, and I'm doing little tiny white dots. And what happens is, when you do small strokes or dots of colour on a surface, from a distance those colours actually blend together, and that's how George Seurat got this technique with his painting. And you're going to continue that. Make sure that you've got your name on the back of your art projects as usual, and then you glue all those down, and there you go, boys and girls. You've got a very simple pointillism technique, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with the placement so that I don't lose my bubbles, my fish. And then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to glue that down, and you'll see that at the very end of the project, boys and girls. Now it's your turn. Let's go and make some art.